Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Wave podcast here at the Culture Wave Media Network. And we are here to discuss the long-awaited Season 2 premiere of Apple TV Plus's Severance. I am one of your hosts. My name is Darian Scalamoni. I am joined by Liz Seiko.
Hello, hello.
And Mikey Peniston.
Hello, everybody.
This show has been on hiatus for quite a long time.
Yeah.
I believe it was 2022 when Season 1 ended, which is crazy. Culture Wave wasn't even a thing.
No.
Wow.
We didn't exist yet. And we learned about the world of Lumon. It was filmed very close to our hometown in Bellworks in Homedale. So that's really cool. But this show made a lot of headway when it came out. Me personally, I love lists. And I make my list of favorite TV shows and movies every year, even before we did this. And I had this as my number one show of the year in 2022, above The Bear, which I love The Bear, but I thought it was better than season 1 of The Bear. And we have now waited almost 3 years for the return of this show. So before we get into this episode in particular, we're like 3 years removed from this. Did you do a rewatch? How did you get yourself back into the world?
Okay, so I was about to start the new season and I was like, hold up. I barely remember anything like prominent. Obviously, I remember the huge like cliffhanger of an ending, but beyond that, I didn't really remember like details. So I was like, let's watch the last episode of season 1. And I probably should have done a little bit more of a deeper dive because there was a lot of like pausing of the episode and Googling to be like, why are we here? How did we get here? What did they do to do this again? And why are they doing it? So I was very fuzzy going into the second season, but watching the last episode definitely helped me for a good starting off point. Because I think if I had not rewatched it, I would have been just not as invested maybe, or be catching some little bit of like moments that you could overlook really easily.
Mikey, what about you?
I did not know what Severance was when it first came out back then, to be honest. I was back and forth with if Severance was Succession and if Succession was Severance. I watched it for
Two great shows that came out.
Incredible shows. You should watch both.
Thank you. But I watched season 1. It was like heavily recommended by you guys and a few other people. So I watched season 1 about 2 weeks ago, not even knowing that season 2 was like about to come out.
So fresh then.
Yeah. Yes. So I didn't have to do a rewatch. I just was ready to go right into it. I'm so happy I did. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. So I watched the first 2 episodes of season 1 with 2 weeks before the premiere of this, and I was like, I got plenty of time. Time snuck up on me. I didn't get through it. So I watched a recap before jumping into season 2, which I thought was really good because there's things. The show is deep in terms of just understanding this world because it's obviously sci-fi. It's grounded sci-fi. And it's dealing with these 2 separate worlds, obviously, of these characters, their innies and their outies. And we have our main foursome that worked in their one office together: Adam Scott, Britt Lower, Zach Cherry, John Turturro. Season 1, we also obviously had Patricia Arquette. We had Tramell Tillman. We had Christopher Walken. And we start off this premiere with a whole new collection of office mates, which caught me by surprise in the beginning. And some prominent people. Alia Shawkat is one of them, as well as Bob Balaban. I don't know the name of the other actor that was in there, the Spanish gentleman that was speaking a whole different language when he walked in, and Mark had no idea what was happening. But talk to me. We'll start with Michael. When he walks in, when Mark walks in there, especially following the cliffhanger ending that we got 3 years ago, and he walks into this whole different collection of coworkers that he has no familiarity with. Were you thrown off? Were you like, okay, I'm getting upon this ride? Because even preceding that, we have this like crazy sequence of him sprinting around the office, which apparently took months for them to film, which we can get into too. But how did you feel about the opening of the premiere?
I absolutely, first let me say I loved the opening. I thought it was just so cool to see how it was shot and everything. I will say that coming off of that first watch of season 1, at the very end, it like played me like a snippet of like a sneak. I don't know if they showed that at any point earlier on. But it was essentially just that first scene,
Mm-hmm.
and then like up to the point where you see that new group revealed. So I kind of knew that was gonna happen. At least pretty recently, I remember that seeing that. Still though, going into it, I felt like it was definitely still there's a shock value. Like coming off of seeing these characters and now just a new group. I like that they did that way, just because it did kind of create a few more questions, I'm sure, that will come up in the midst of this conversation. But it was a cool way to start it. I also am a really big fan of, what's her name?
Alia Shawkat.
Alia Shawkat, yeah.
From Arrested, right?
Arrested Development, yes. And so it was cool to see that dynamic and those characters. But it was interesting to see, that start.
What about you, Liz?
I was like nervous when we saw the new people sitting down. I was like, no. Like, we need the original. I just didn't want them to do a whole first episode, like, with just Mark's character and these new characters to like establish more relationships. I was like, you guys left us on such a cliff note, and like, we are so invested in these other characters. Like, you need to get them back somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing that new cast, I was like, oh God, I hope this doesn't like stick this way. And thank God they didn't.
I love that they took it in a route where it went dark comedy very quickly. When especially having Bob Balaban playing Mark W compared to the Mark S that was in the office. I thought that whole dynamic was great, and him sneaking the letter and not even hiding his handwriting, I thought was great. No Patricia Arquette yet that we know of. And the name of the episode is Hello, Miss Cobel.
Do we know if she's coming back?
She's definitely coming back.
Yeah, right?
But I do think it's interesting that the episode is named after her.
Mm-hmm.
Her outie, right? Cobel is the outie name for her? Or is that her innie name?
No, Miss something with an S.
Cobel is the innie.
Innie, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that it's because of obviously it's because of, what do they call it? What's milkshake?
Milkshake.
Yeah, but they call him Milkshake.
They call him Milkshake.
They call him Milkshake.
Yes.
How his
Milkshake.
computer, because he takes over her job, and now
Yes.
his computer says like, "Hello, Miss Cobel."
That's right.
Yes.
It's like Miss Schwartz or something like that.
Yeah, I could look it up.
I
But
think.
What they call her on the outside?
yeah.
Because she's the neighbor, and he's like, "Oh, Miss, hi,
Yeah,
Miss something."
she goes by something else.
Yeah.
Here, I got it. But where are we? Oh, it just still says Cobel. If on IMDb. Well, regardless.
Mrs. Selvig.
Selvig. Okay. So Selvig is her outie name. The big thing, we should obviously go over the big thing that we start and the big reveal at the end of season 1 is that Mark sees that Miss Casey on the inside is his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And when he returns, and what leads to him running around the office, and he goes to her office, the wellness center is completely gone.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting foil throughout any of it. Did you have any thoughts? I mean, we're so, you can't even theorize anything because like
I have a couple theories though.
already.
I do
yeah,
too.
I
Off the
totally
jump.
have some theories.
Okay.
Well, okay, so like they also give us the last shot of this episode is like I don't know, like a screensaver or something, or like a digital photo of his wife in a database, right? Isn't that what it is? So there's something going on within Lumon that's obviously connected to his wife. A very tiny theory, just because I've completely been like, okay, what are they going to do with her? Is she can't be dead, right? Like, there's no way that she actually died because she's in Lumon.
Okay.
So is there something where she wanted to leave her husband, and so she faked her own death to then like go into the system completely? Like, there's got to be something about people like just completely giving themselves to the system of Severance and giving themselves to Lumon's like scientific data completely.
Do we think that everybody that is involved in this office, let's just say the office foursome, right? Like this team, are they all dealing with their own tragedies? And so they're placed in this place to get away from it. And maybe Patricia Arquette's character and Mr. Milchick, they are like the gatekeepers for these people. Because in that case, I feel like it would, like, she's fully escaping to Lumon and he views it as a tragedy, but they need somebody to hold him accountable. But then everybody in his family says that she's gone.
Yes, because
Right?
so what I'm saying is, what if she like his wife in the outside world
fakes her death
because she's like, I don't want to like be with him anymore, because we really don't know much about their relationship. Like they just say that she died in a car crash. They don't say like you guys were happily married, like you loved each other. Like they just say that he, like anybody that would lose somebody in a car crash out of nowhere, he spiraled and then he couldn't handle it. But what if she, and this is so hypothetical, like I could totally just be reading off into this completely, but I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, of like, why else would she be in Lumon alive? Unless there's like some real sci-fi shit going on where like people die and then they can bring them back in Lumon. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it.
Well, it asks a lot of, like, a lot of the first season also covers the philosophical question of what it is to be cut off from your body, essentially, like being innie versus outie.
And be two different people while being the same person.
Which is really interesting in that whole entire thing. And then obviously we get like his friend dies in the first season. There's like a lot that needs to still be uncovered. You also have theories.
Yeah,
so
Michael keeps smiling at me.
Do you have anything on this?
Add to the wife. What do you have with me?
This is like these fucking dots.
I feel like I'm going crazy trying to connect these dots right now.
I do have a few theories, especially to his wife. I do think that they could be crazy at this point, but if we do want to touch on like the sci-fi sort of point of it all, I think that there's a lot of interest that I see in or at least I have a lot. I'm intrigued by this girl, the young girl, the secretary,
Miss Huang.
Huang, yes. And so I'm wondering if a couple of theories, crazy theories. Miss Huang, what if they put, for a while I was thinking, what is this, the wife? Did they somehow like make her a child, or did they maybe put her memory into a kid or do something like that? You know what I'm saying?
So are you saying like Severance could be something like an organ donating situation? And it could be something where Mark's wife could have given up like her brain?
Yeah, in a sense. And like, I guess you could say this. That's a theory. I don't know. It's not fully flushed out, but that was just a theory I had. Another theory.
Okay, because like somebody maybe gave their brain up for his wife because she was dying from the car crash is kind of what you're like getting.
Sort of, maybe. I don't know if the car crash is real. I don't think that. I think that
even though they all on the outside know.
I think that it was something staged. I think it was something staged. It could go with my other theory with it all, with Miss Huang. Maybe she's their child.
That'd be crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. Daikin Lackman, I might be saying that wrong, but that's the actress that plays Miss Casey. Mm-hmm. She is of Asian descent. Miss Huang is obviously of Asian descent. Mm-hmm. It would at least add up in terms of like genetically. Mm-hmm. It would make sense if they wanted to do something like that and kind of wink at the audience if that was something they wanted to do.
And if that was the case, then maybe she had to run away. There was some instance with the pregnancy where it was a situation, and like that's what had to, and like then they had to take care of this kid for a little bit. And I don't know. That's just a far-fetched theory that I had. Yeah.
Well,
do you have any theories on that?
I don't on that. I focused a lot more on a different thing where we get a lot of sketch from Miss Britt Lower, Helly, especially in regard to a night gardener, which my boy Irvin put her on blast, but I loved it. Which, by the way, John Turturro is a national treasure. Let's put him in literally everything that's ever been made ever. Yeah. But yeah, I think that obviously, like, we get the reveal at the end of season 1 that she's obviously related to the family that has basically built the system. Do we remember the name of the family that overruns everything? They have like the museum for them, Liz, if you could look it up. But like, she has this obvious, like, this freak out moment on the outside, just being like, this is who I am on the outside. Like, I can't believe that I agreed to do this. Like, I can't believe I have an innie and Severance. Egan. Yeah, Egan. So she's an Egan, obviously, as her outie. And she comes back in. So it could be one thing as if she's lying, or it could be something where maybe they scrubbed her brain and she really doesn't have any idea. But it seems very much like she has an idea of what's happening. But you're pointing at me, so you have something to say.
That was my other theory. I thought that it's really her outie that's in there. Right.
That's what I think.
That's what you think.
So you think it's her outie that's in there right now?
Yeah. And that would
make sense.
The only thing that like really kind of made me because at first I was like, she's just being weird, but like maybe she's just like really out of body right now. But then when Mark said like they don't know what happened, so they're trying to like find out through us what happened, it made me be like, oh, so then they have her totally going in to like hear their whole plan. Like they need to have a spy in there. They can't just let these 4 people get back together after they just blew up the whole system.
They're celebrities.
They're celebrities.
They're celebrities.
Which there's no way that they're actually celebrities and it's been 5 months, right?
You think it's been shorter or longer?
I think it has been so much shorter because think about it. He, who's the new like manager? Oh yeah,
Mr. Milkshake.
Milkshake.
You can't call him Milkshake the whole time.
Why?
Because he's great.
So
he's so good.
He
at
takes
it.
over Mrs. Cobel's job. And if he says that it's been 5 months, why is he not moved into his office already? And why has the computer not been changed?
It's a fair point. Okay. Liz
So
using her
I think that they're just liars. They're literally just liars. I think everything that they say you have to take with a grain of salt, which also makes this television show so good because you just never know what is the truth and what is being spun and what webs are being weaved before us.
Yeah, well, they play it from so many different sides too. Like Milkshake also has a conversation with Dylan where he talks about how your family can come visit, but he also visited his Audi, like, and was like, "That's your kid." It was just like, by the way, you got a fucking kid. He's like, what the fuck? Like, which is a great moment from the first season. But there's so much at play in the premiere of this episode, and leaving it all up to the audience to figure things out, I think, is the fun of it. I also I'm not saying it's not her Audi, but I do think there's still something where, like, because again, all the characters are revealing something about where they came from in that moment, right? And she's the one that doesn't reveal anything. But there's a part of Helly's character where you could also see it where potentially she could be like, I can't give them this information that I'm an Eamon. You said it's Eamon, right? Or Egan. I can't reveal that I'm an Egan because they're gonna lose their shit. Like,
I totally agree with
like
that.
The trust factor will go out the window. But now the trust factor is also like Irv is too smart. Where I think.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. There's just so many other little elements, though, that make her just seem like the Audi. Like, she's the first one to turn her computer on right away at the end to be like, yeah, I'm staying.
Man, you like broke this shit down.
She's the first one to do that, to also get Mark to stay.
Liz is a higher level of thinking. I didn't even fucking notice that.
Yeah, she's the first. And which, the only reason I think that is because the whole time I was like, why is she so motivated to stay right now? Like,
well, yeah, it's obviously against what her character is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which then made it just pretty. Although I could be wrong.
It could be something where, again, that she just is happy to be with this
that
group.
She loves Mark too.
Well,
it could be that she just wants to have a romance.
Which is,
with
we
him.
have a love triangle, obviously, too. Not an official one, obviously. But
I don't think she remembered their kiss when she came back. Because remember, like,
because it's that Audi,
right?
It's that Audi guy, and she doesn't know.
This is crazy. You're blowing my mind.
Imagine I'm so wrong.
We come back next week. Every single thing gets disproved. That'd be so funny.
Do we like that they stayed with the innies the whole episode, or did you guys wish that they had kind of shown us what's going on in that?
I think we're episodes away from getting the Audis.
Really?
I think that we're not even going to come close to the Audis till maybe end of episode 3. Like we're episodes away. Like we have to get through multiple things happening on the innie, and we still need to see Bert. Which is like, and that's another thread. Like, Irving is so motivated. I know their love is amazing, but he's so motivated to get out that like there has to be something, because I think they're motivated to keep Irv there too, obviously. And that's, again, that could also be a lie, obviously. Like Milkshake is like, you could just walk out that door if you're not happy here,
which is a total lie.
It's obviously
like, come
bullshit.
on.
Yeah.
So,
lies.
I was just gonna say that I think that once we get that reveal as to their Audis, that will reveal the answer to the whole 5-month gap. Just because I feel like clearly their families have to have been affected, or if not affected, then like, I don't know. I just feel like that would give that answer for sure.
Yeah, because like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like how they ended it, and really, it's Mark's sister and brother-in-law who would be the people that could get this motivated. Because I think although Helly did speak out at the event, like people were laughing, like they thought she was joking. So like, who's to say that they couldn't have just covered it up and been like, we're joking up here, ha ha ha.
Yep.
You know?
Well, what about the thread with Dylan, too?
What?
Of just having a family. Do we think he actually had a family? Do we think that was, I mean, like he saw his kid, but.
I do.
I think he did have a family, but his family didn't know that they were talking to the innie, right? Like they don't.
I guess, but if something happened to the Audis, there would be probably just as much, if not more,
About his
ramifications for Dylan, even more so than Mark. Like we don't see Dylan's family really full fledged, but
he didn't get to go see them. So like that, I don't know. I just feel like they're all liars, is what I think. And like,
well, so have either of you seen the first promo image that was released for this season? When it was released months ago.
the first promo image?
Yeah, like when they were like, "This show's coming back," like, and it showed like the first look picture.
Wasn't it them in like wool and
Yes.
like in snow?
Yes. So they're wearing like big fur jackets and like
I'll pull it up.
yeah. So Liz will pull it up to show you, Mikey. But like that's obviously not in an environment where they could be innies. Like it wouldn't be.
It could be though, because remember the whole like goat going into like different parts.
I guess, but it
of
wasn't like
Lumon?
they were in a whole different world. Like, but again,
It was
it's sci-fi.
weird though. It was the goat. The whole goat thing was
I
weird.
thought it was pretty normal to me.
It was
No,
weird.
the goat thing was obviously very
is-
strange. All right, so that's the image.
Oh.
Right away, I can't see. Yeah, so they're all wearing like
Wool caps and
That's not
big
at all
fur
right.
jackets.
Mhm.
Thought it would've been
So
about-
I think that's going to be one of the first times we see their Audis and that they're on maybe a mission together.
oh, you think it's their Audis all
Yeah.
together?
wow.
Mhm.
I think their Audis are motivated to get together again, and I don't know how they could be stopped on the outside.
Not
Also-
Helly's though.
I don't know. I think Helly could have been in a position where she might have lost her job and was outlawed by the family. Like we have no idea. Like Helly's Audi was the most surprising, obviously,
So
because
good. It was,
it was
great
awesome.
writing.
It was
Yeah.
it was a great reveal. But
where would her innie be then, technically?
oh, well, you're saying you're going based on the theory that her Audi is inside. Well, maybe her innie. That's what I'm saying. Maybe her innie is now in the place of her Audi, and that's maybe she's the one that brings everybody
But
together.
you don't just flip. Like when you're gone, you're just you mentally flip. It's not like there's actual two physical people. It's one physical person and the mental switches.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
So it's not like there's two, unless they are cloned. But as of right now, the way Severance is it's one body but two different minds being split.
Mm.
So even if her Audi is with all the innies inside Lumon, it's still the same physical being. They just didn't switch her, which makes sense because she's the creator's daughter, so she knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a way to like have people go down there without actually mentally flipping them,
Got you.
mentally severancing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the show's kind of heady, dude.
Guys,
Like this shit
this
gets.
is like
Wow.
Such sci-fi.
It's gonna be
stuff
hard to
that
break this shit down. With
yeah.
you, Mike.
Like honestly, there's moments where I'm like, how did they keep this together when they were writing this?
Well, that's the genius, I think, of the show, right? Dan
Mhm.
Erickson, which I'm curious if he's ever done really anything else. But Dan Erickson is the writer of the show. He actually had a comment where he was like, I was terrified writing the show. Like coming back for
Absolutely.
season 2, he's like, I had no idea where I was going to go. No, this is he literally had, that's crazy. He did a short Welcome to Lumon in 2021 and then went right to Severance. So this is like
This is his life.
this is his creative
Wow.
footprint.
Wow.
They've already renewed the show for season 3.
Did that?
Um,
Wow.
I saw an article before we started recording. I was telling Sean on the network that it's generated $200 million of revenue for Apple, which is crazy because Apple like is not one of the streaming services that people talk about. Like that's always been the thing, right? They're like, well, you know, like we don't have a lot of subscribers, which they don't. Like it's like Prime Video or it's HBO
Yeah.
or it's Netflix. But this next to Ted Lasso is probably the biggest show they've ever made.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Apple doesn't like promote
their
as
marketing
much.
is weird, but they also, the other thing is that they're coming from a place where like they're starting with zero IP and they're
Mm.
starting everything from scratch, and they're literally releasing a new show every week, and like just they don't have a lot of subscribers, and it's hard to
Mhm.
market new shit every single week.
Their quality is great though.
Yeah, their shows are so
Mhm.
good.
They are.
Their
Wasn't
shows are so
isn't
good.
Presumed Innocent
Is
on
Apple
this? Yeah, right. Mhm.
Blackbird, which is a show I watched, I really liked, is Apple.
What was the Godzilla show? I really liked that one.
Monarch.
Monarch.
I've heard
That's-
a lot of people really like
That's
Monarch.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump into that one because I like also that Wyatt and Kurt get to act, but they're the same character, right?
They are. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Godzilla, right by Liz.
Oh.
Shout out Godzilla. But getting back to Severance, so we get the conversation with Milchick and Dylan, obviously, about the family and the visiting hour. So we have that foil in it. Irving tells Dylan his secret.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of moving parts with the characters.
I think Irving is going to be huge in this story because for me, he still has the most mystery out of his Audie's story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he didn't take the time to like figure out what his Audie was doing. He was just like, I gotta go find the love of my life.
Yeah. Also the dark tunnel, the fact that he knows so much about it, but like we've only really seen his wife, Adam's wife in the show go through it. Like I feel like
it's gonna come back.
It is for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna come back. Let's talk about the film that we get. The animated sequence that we get.
Good.
Did either of you figure out who the voice cameo was before it was reported on who it was, or no? Or do either of you know still?
No.
I don't know.
Who did the voice of the building? It was Keanu Reeves.
Stop.
The voice of the
That's
building.
good. That's good.
They said the creator said they wanted a calming voice for the presence of making Lumon feel comfortable to the innies again.
They did great.
Which I love. The animated sequence is fantastic.
It felt very corporate company of like, we know there's problems, but here's a pizza party, guys.
Literally. It's so quirky, and it calls back to obviously all of the initial perks that they got in the beginning with the waffle party and the dance party, which makes the show, it's just such a great blend of so many different genres. And Ben Stiller is a really great creative mind since he kind of transitioned out of full-time comedy into doing these more creative things. Like, it makes total sense to me that he had other things in between, but like the guy who directed The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is doing Severance. Like, it makes sense to me. But is there anything like that stands out in terms of something that you really enjoyed about this episode that like really had you back in it, or something where you were like more curious about what's going to come week 2? Like, where are you after the end of the episode?
I'm just interested to see more unfold, and I know that they're not going to be able to recreate some of the more like, I think it's going to get darker this season. I think the first season we got a lot of like the fun waffle parties, like ha ha ha, like we don't know what's going on. It's such a weird environment. But now I think since the veil's been lifted for the characters and the audience, I think it's going to be a lot more of like information and a lot more connecting of the dots and less like quirky moments.
Yeah, well, so much of the first season's understanding the world.
Yes.
And now I think we know what that is. So now we're trying to sort of unwrap these layers. Yeah. Mikey, anything for you?
I feel like just some small bits that I remembered that I feel like I should bring up. I'm really interested in seeing what they do with Miss Selvig. I feel like, again, once we get introduced to their Audis, another reason why I think it'll be delayed, like you said, is because Miss Selvig will probably be with them at this point. Since the last time we saw her, she was with the Audis, and so it could be a situation where she teams up with them, and then it's like them and Miss Selvig versus the innies and Mr. Milchit sort of thing. That would be really interesting to see. I feel like aside from that though, the episode, I towards the episode, no, but there is one thing that I just really wanted to bring up that I thought was really creative on their part, with the promo for this all. I don't know if you guys saw, they like recreated the office space and like, what was it,
pop up in Grand Central Station?
Yeah, like just thought that was so genius.
Yeah,
and I don't know, it just goes to all of the show being amazing and all the parts of it.
The marketing for this show is different than the marketing of the other shows, that's a weird thing, because I feel like Apple, when it comes, like, again, Ted Lasso, the same thing, their marketing was everywhere. It's like, if they know they have a hit, they'll start marketing it differently.
And everything else,
they're like, no, like, we don't have these other shows.
Stay in the corner.
It's like you have like 80 shows that have come out in like 4 years. Like, why aren't you promoting it?
Yeah.
I did see the pop-up. John Turturro was not there because he was walking the runway for a fashion shoot.
Oh,
so
wow.
As he should. As he should.
There we go.
Love that. Did any of you guys also? This is why, like, it's just, again, the marketing and just having interviews with these people. Did you guys see what Christopher Walken said about watching the show?
The DVDs. Go ahead.
Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
So they were like, "Oh, like, what do you think? Like, what do you think of the new season? Like, are you happy? Are you proud of it? Like, what did you think about like being a part of the first season?" He goes, "Well, like, I don't have the technology to watch the show, so they send me DVDs, which is nice of them that they can do that." And I'm like, this is so Chris Walken
100%.
in the best way. I love that man so much. Like, I'm excited to see him in Dune 3.
Mhm.
What's more going to come with him there?
Wow.
Yeah, he's in, 'cause you haven't seen Dune 2 yet?
I still have not.
Oh
seen
shit!
Dune 2.
Yeah, he hasn't seen Dune 2. Liz,
Oh.
he is in Dune. He is in Dune 2. But he'll be in Dune Messiah too.
Sorry.
But yeah. So we I mean, what was your thoughts on that? We get no Bert. We get no Miss Cobel in the premiere. Like, is there something to that? I mean, obviously we know that they were involved with the innies, Selvig and Cobel, even Innie and Audi.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, it makes sense that we don't get them though, because they're not a part of the Innie world now at this point. They're only part of the Audi. I don't know if we're gonna get a lot of Bert this season, actually, because he is fully like retired.
Yeah.
And if like Irving's character is like trying to find meaning like away from that, I don't know if we're gonna get a lot from him, even though I love that character and like the relationship. Cobel, I think, is going to be a wild card of where her storyline is, because they try to say that like she was like blamed for everything almost in a way. And so I'm interested to see if they actually did blame her, and like on the outside she's just like a wreck and is losing everything because they totally pinned the escape on her. Like a lot of corporations do. They just try to find like one person to like put the blame on.
Yeah. That would align a lot with what you're saying too, if she then decides to team up with everybody on the outside to get revenge on
But
Logan.
I don't think Mark's sister and brother-in-law will team up with her now that they know that she's been lying this whole time about who she is.
That's true too.
I think that those people they don't like this already.
Yeah.
So they're going to be like, fuck you. You lied to us for this many years and you're the reason that like all of this is happening. We don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah. So it's weird. Like I said, the show is very heady. There's like a lot to think about. We're only 45 minutes into the new season. I don't even know what else to say. Is there anything else that we need to cover?
No, I think we just have to wait until the next episode.
I know.
Until our theories get smaller.
Smaller and smaller, and we start to break things down. But
yeah, I definitely don't have anything.
Yeah. Well, that was episode 1 of season 2 of Severance. We'll be back every week discussing this. If it's not going to be all 3 of us, we'll rotate between the 3 of us if only 2 of us can do the episode or whatever. But I believe, do we know how long my laptop died? Do we have any idea how long this season is?
It's 10 episodes.
10 episodes.
9 more.
All right, so we have 9, and they're all coming out week to week, I guess, right?
Friday.
So we'll be here every
Fridays.
week with you guys for the next 10 weeks talking about this show. Very excited to dive into it. If you guys have any questions or theories or comments, please leave them below. We love getting into a conversation with you guys, and I feel like this is a show that can generate a lot of conversation. We'll be checking the comments, so please be sure to write in there. And if you guys can give this video a like, we'd really appreciate it, and subscribe to us here at the Culture Wave Media Network. We reached our initial goal of 500 subscribers, so thank you guys for that. We're going to start live streaming soon. You guys can send super chats, ask us whatever questions you want, but now our next goal is 1,000 subscribers, so if you guys can help us hit that sooner than later, we'd really appreciate it. And we have tons of other stuff on the channel you guys can check out right now. We have reviews of The Last Showgirl. We're going to have reviews of Wolfman upcoming. One of them days we're going to be covering soon. We have a lot of awards season stuff is already up on the channel. We have reviews for A Complete Unknown, Baby Girl, Wicked. What else is up there? Honora's up there. Substance, which I just saw the other day. Whew, what a movie. Incredible. Really great. But check all that stuff out if you guys can. And if you want to follow us on all our social media, all that stuff is below me in the video currently. And it's also in our description. We're everywhere, so you guys can follow us there and see more of our stuff. Just signing off, I am Darian Scalamoni.
I'm Liz Seiko.
I'm Mikey Peniston.
And we'll see you guys next time.
This is The Culture.